My name is Rachel Chen, and at 35, I'm the proud owner of a thriving bakery chain. But last year, my mother-in-law, Linda, made it her mission to turn my success into a battleground. I'll never forget the day she strolled into my flagship store, her smirk as sharp as a knife. "Your croissants are stale, dear," she declared, her voice ringing out across the crowded cafe. "No wonder your sales are dropping." I clenched my jaw to keep the tears at bay. Linda had already cost me a crucial business deal earlier that week, yet here she was again, sowing chaos. The irony? Just hours before, she'd asked me to invest my savings in her retirement fund. But this wasn't the start of Linda's campaign against me. To understand how it all unraveled, you'd have to go back 5 years to when Sweet Success was just a dream. A small corner bakery that became the center of my world. Baking had always been my solace, my escape after losing both my parents. When I met Michael, Linda's son, he became my biggest cheerleader. "You're incredible, Rach," he'd say, biting into whatever new creation I'd whipped up. "The world needs this." With his encouragement and every penny of my savings, I opened my first shop in downtown Seattle. Those early days were grueling. I'd wake at 3 a.m. to bake, run the counter, and close up long after sunset. Slowly, the hard work paid off. My matcha cream puffs and honey lavender croissants turned heads, and soon Sweet Success was the talk of the town. That's when Linda began to take notice. "Rachel, darling," she said at Sunday dinner one evening, her tone as sugary as my frosting. "I had no idea your little hobby could actually make money." Her words stung, but I smiled politely. After all, she was family. Years later, when I was ready to expand, Linda's interest grew sharper. A prime spot at Pike Place Market became available. And with a newly approved loan, I was ready to take the leap. The night I shared the news, Linda's eyes glinted with an intensity I should have heeded. "Oh, sweetie," she said, swirling her wine. "Expanding too quickly is risky. Remember Jenny's cupcakes? They crashed and burned. But don't worry, I have years of business experience. I'd be happy to guide you." I declined, thanking her but making it clear I had things under control. The next morning, my contractor called in a frenzy. Multiple code violations had been reported at the new location. The delays in repairs cost me 3 months and nearly $100,000. Later, I found out Linda was close friends with the inspector's wife. Still, I pressed on, and Sweet Success flourished. Our new Pike Place location was a hit, leading to franchise opportunities and a feature in Northwest Business Monthly. But Linda wasn't celebrating my achievements. Instead, she made her move during a family dinner. "Rachel, dear," she began with practiced sweetness, "I'm so proud of what you've accomplished. With my son's help, of course. His connections really opened doors for you, didn't they?" I nearly choked on my wine. "Actually, Linda, Michael and I have always kept our careers separate. He's incredibly supportive, but Sweet Success is my business." Her smile turned brittle. "Oh, so all those corporate orders from Michael's clients were just a coincidence." Before I could respond, she pivoted. "Well, since you're doing so well, we should discuss family obligations. Your father-in-law and I aren't getting any younger, and our retirement portfolio took a hit." She trailed off, waiting for me to connect the dots. When I didn't, she leaned in. "We'll need about $500,000 to maintain our lifestyle." The room fell silent. My hands trembled as I placed my fork down. "Linda," I said carefully, "Sweet Success is my company, built with my own savings and hard work. I'm reinvesting my profits into expansion, not personal loans." Her face darkened. "So this is how you repay family loyalty." That night, I realized Linda didn't see me as an entrepreneur or even as her son's wife. To her, I was a pawn in her games, and she was willing to destroy everything I'd built to get what she wanted. The next morning, I logged into my company's social media accounts and froze. Overnight, dozens of one-star reviews had been posted, accusing us of stale pastries and food poisoning. Our morning rush was half its usual crowd, whispers of the reviews spreading like wildfire. That's when Linda walked in, her smile cold as steel. "Your croissants are stale, dear," she said again, loud enough for everyone to hear. As I watched a potential corporate client slip out the door, I realized Linda wasn't just meddling, she was waging war. But Sweet Success wasn't just a business. It was my dream, my resilience, and my life's work. And I wasn't about to let Linda destroy it. The following weeks were a whirlwind of chaos, each morning unveiling a new crisis that bore Linda's invisible fingerprints. Wholesale orders were inexplicably canceled. Health inspectors began showing up unannounced during our busiest hours, spurred by anonymous complaints. Even our suppliers, long reliable, suddenly doubled their prices, citing vague market fluctuations. I confided in Michael, hoping he'd see what was happening, but he was caught between loyalty to his mother and support for me. "Babe, are you sure Mom's behind this?" he asked hesitantly one evening, glancing at the grim sales reports on my laptop. "Maybe it's just bad luck." I slammed the lid shut, the frustration bubbling over. "Bad luck doesn't send fake food poisoning reports to the health department." I shot back, then softened my tone. "I'm sorry. I'm watching everything I've worked for unravel, and your mother is enjoying every second of it." He sighed, torn but silent. That Sunday, Linda dealt her next blow. During our customary family dinner, she casually voiced her concerns about my mental state, ensuring everyone heard. "I'm worried about Rachel," she sighed dramatically, slicing into her roast beef with a calculated pause. "The stress of running a failing business can make people unstable. Maybe it's time to consider selling before things get worse." I gripped my water glass, barely containing my anger. "My business isn't failing, Linda. At least not without a little help." "See what I mean?" Linda turned to Michael, her voice dripping with mock sympathy. "Paranoid accusations. Honey, maybe Rachel should see someone. I know an excellent therapist." That night, sleep eluded me. Restless, I reviewed our security camera footage from the bakery. A strange movement caught my eye. A familiar figure slipping into the kitchen after hours. Zooming in, my stomach churned. It was Linda, using the spare key Michael had for emergencies. The next morning, I checked our storage room and confirmed my worst fears. The premium Madagascar vanilla we use for our signature pastries had been replaced with cheap imitation extract. The high-end chocolate was swapped for low-grade cooking chocolate. Small, insidious changes that would erode our quality and reputation over time. I confronted Linda that evening in her perfectly curated living room. Armed with security footage and receipts, I laid out the evidence. She sat unfazed, sipping tea with a smug smile. "Really, Rachel? Security footage? How desperate." She placed her cup down gracefully. "There's still time to fix this. My retirement fund offer stands." I shook my head, the realization hitting me. "This isn't about money anymore, is it? You just can't stand that I succeeded without you." Linda's smile vanished, replaced by a cold glare. "You married into this family, dear. Everything you have, you owe to us. I'm giving you a choice. Fund our retirement or watch your little bakery empire crumble." I stood, my hands trembling with anger. "No, Linda. I'm giving you a choice. Stop sabotaging my business, or I'll show Michael and everyone else exactly who you are." She laughed, a sharp, cutting sound. "Who do you think I'll believe? The respected mother who's only looking out for her son? Or the unstable entrepreneur spiraling into a breakdown?" As I left her house, my phone buzzed. It was a notification. Our largest corporate client, Michael's law firm, had just canceled all standing orders. The message was loud and clear. Linda wasn't done. But in her arrogance, she'd overlooked something crucial. There was a paper trail. The fake reviews? All traced back to her IP address. The supplier price hike? The owner was one of her golf buddies. And the security footage? That was just the start. I stayed up all night piecing it all together. Every coincidence, every sabotage attempt, every manipulative dig. 5 years of Linda's games laid bare in a meticulous dossier. The next morning would change everything. Linda thought she was dismantling my business piece by piece, but in truth, she handed me the tools to expose her. Not just to Michael, but to everyone who believed in her facade. As I finalized my plans, my phone lit up with a text from Linda. "Last chance, dear. The retirement fund or your business. Choose wisely." I smiled, thinking of the meeting I'd scheduled with Michael and his father later that morning. Linda had no idea what was coming. Morning arrived, and I walked into Michael's law firm, clutching my evidence folder like a lifeline. His father, Richard, was already there, his expression a mix of concern and confusion. "Rachel, what's this emergency meeting about?" Before I could answer, Linda swept into the room, her sharp heels clicking on the polished floor. "I got your text, Richard. What's she doing here?" She froze when she saw the folder in my hands, her confidence faltering for the first time. Please have a seat, I said, keeping my voice steady as I set up my laptop. There's something everyone here needs to see. For the next 30 minutes, I presented my case. The security footage of Linda tampering with ingredients, screenshots of fake reviews linked to her IP address, emails from suppliers confirming her interference, bank records showing suspicious transfers made just before every health inspection. Michael's face darkened with each revelation. "Mom, how could you?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Linda's laugh was brittle, her composure unraveling. "Oh, don't be ridiculous. She's making all this up because she can't handle running a business. Richard, surely you don't believe." "The evidence speaks for itself," I interrupted, clicking to the next slide. "And I've invited someone to join us." The door opened and Detective Sarah Morris stepped inside, her badge glinting under the fluorescent lights. "Linda, breaking and entering, business sabotage, and attempted extortion are serious charges. I suggest you listen carefully to what Rachel has to say." Linda's face drained of color. "You wouldn't dare. I'm family." Michael's voice was steady, but the disappointment was palpable. "Family doesn't destroy family, Mom." "Dad, show her the statement." Richard pulled out a printed document, his expression grave. "Linda, I checked our accounts after Rachel came to me yesterday. We have more than enough for retirement. Care to explain why you've been moving money to a private account?" Linda's mask crumbled completely as the truth spilled out. She'd been embezzling from their retirement fund for years to cover gambling debts. Forcing me to contribute was her desperate attempt to plug the holes before Richard noticed. "I want to press charges," I said, my voice firm as I looked directly at Linda. "But I'll drop them on 2 conditions. First, you publicly clear Sweet Success's name and reputation. Second, you step away from the family business and get professional help for your gambling." Linda glanced around the room, searching for support, but found none. Defeated, she nodded. "Fine," she whispered. The following week, Linda issued a public apology that went viral. "Due to personal challenges, I spread false claims about Sweet Success Bakery. These statements were entirely fabricated by me. Sweet Success upholds the highest standards of quality, and I deeply regret my actions." The apology was enough to restore faith in the business. Customers flooded back, drawn by both the story of redemption and our forgiveness special. All pastries half price for a week, lines wrapped around the block, and Sweet Success emerged stronger than ever. Michael and I moved forward, setting clear boundaries with Linda. She entered treatment for her gambling addiction, and Richard became one of my most vocal supporters. A year later, Sweet Success expanded to 10 thriving locations. When Northwest Business Monthly featured us again, this time highlighting resilience in family businesses, Linda saw the article during a therapy session. "You know," she told her counselor, "I tried to tear Rachel down because I couldn't handle her success. Instead, I only proved how much she deserved it." Today, I write this from our new flagship store, watching happy customers enjoy our signature croissants. Fresh, flaky, and certainly not stale. Every challenge made us stronger, and Linda's journey toward redemption reminds me of something important. Success isn't just about building a business. It's about standing your ground when someone tries to tear you down. And sometimes the sweetest victory isn't revenge. It's watching someone who once sought your downfall confront their demons and find a path to change. Would you have pressed charges in my situation? Or was offering Linda a chance at redemption the right call? Share your thoughts below.